Good evening. Welcome to our August 7th Baldwin County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. At this time, if you'll stand with me, we'll have a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Father, we're thankful to you for this wonderful county we live in. We're thankful for those that make it that way, mostly those that have lived here, that moved here, those that visit. Father, it's just obviously a great place to be. We're thankful to our elected officials, our first responders, our staff, all that put their efforts into that. Thank you for the opportunity we have now to conduct business tonight. We pray that you'll give us insight and wisdom as we conduct this business. Pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this time I'll call the roll. Brandon Bias, Robert Davis.
Here.
Scott Schamberger, Michael Mullet. Here. Greg Seibert.
Here.
Jamie Stradinger.
Here.
Diane Burnett.
Here.
Michael Fletcher. Here. George Waters.
Here.
And Reed Keith.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. All right, we went over our agenda in the work session, and I need a motion that our agenda be approved.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Davis made the motion.
Seconded.
All right, I think Michael down there seconded it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Vote. Chairman votes aye also. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Also, we each received a copy of the minutes of our meetings in July, on July the 10th for our regular meeting and our work sessions. Have a motion those be approved.
So moved.
Mr. Seibert made a motion those be approved. Have a second.
Second.
Mr. Stradinger seconded that. Everybody in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's go ahead and take our consent items. We have two consent items. Neither are public hearings. These are extensions requests, so I'll entertain a motion for PER 25-30 Elizabeth Gardens Phase 2 and 3, which is an extension, and then PER 25-31 South Bend Village Phase 1 and 2 extension.
I'll make a motion we approve both consent agenda items.
Okay? Mr. Davis made a motion to approve. To have a second?
Seconded.
All right, Mr. Seibert seconded the motion. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Chairman votes aye also, so the motion carries. All right. Mr. Dixon, you want to come up and do your intro?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So tonight we do have several different public hearings for you all. Just a reminder, just what all applications require a public hearing: subdivisions, subdivision variances, highway construction setback, appeals, CUP, site plan approval, and any kind of subdivision change, subdivision or zoning ordinance change. So tonight we do have several subdivisions. We don't have any variances or any highway setback appeals for you, but we do have several subdivisions and a couple site plans. Just to remind everyone here that our public hearing guidelines is that the public comments should only be made during the public hearing portion of the meeting. When you come up to the podium up front, just make sure you speak your name and address into the microphone for the record. And it is being recorded, so please try to speak into the microphone so it is heard by the system. Comments should be directed to the Planning Commission Chairman, and he can direct those comments to whatever staff needs to answer the question. Comments should be focused on the application that's being presented at that time, and comments from individuals should be limited to 3 minutes, and if you're here speaking on a group, speaking on behalf of a group, you tell the chairman he can grant you 5 minutes for that. But On the subdivision cases, just to be clear that the state law is very, very direct about if it meets all of our regulations that we have no discretion but to approve the subdivision as long as it conforms to our regulations. So be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And I'll add to that and say to you that I have those that have signed up, so I will call on you at the appropriate time to come up and speak. As Jay said, you'll have 3 minutes or 5 based on whether you represent a group or not. Just please know that once everyone has had a turn to speak, at some point I will close the public hearing, and when I do, invariably somebody does this even though I say this, please don't ask to speak after I close the public hearing unless Planning Commission members ask for clarification on something. I can call you back up. All right, with that, we'll go to our first item under public hearings. This will be PUD 25-03 and also CSP 25-13 and SB 25-17, which is the Milton Jones Warehouse. And let me ask of the Planning Commission, anybody need to declare prior communication on this item? Okay, Ms. Waters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, this is Milton Jones Warehouse Development located in Planning District 15. The subject property is located south of Milton Jones Road and west of State Highway 181 in the Daphne area. The zoning of the subject properties are B4 and M1. The request here is for a commercial site plan for 1 office building and 3 additional warehouses to the property, totaling in approximately 26 units. The total acreage is about 9 acres. And the public utilities providers are Belforce Water System, Riviera Utilities, and Baldwin County Sewer Services. A traffic study has been requested for staff for review for possible roadway improvements, and I'll get more to that into the conditions of approval. Here is your map. As I stated, the applicant is requesting a commission site plan, a planned unit development, and a variance for approval of additional office warehouses and 1 office building. The subject property encompasses approximately 9 acres, is zoned B4 and M1, and the adjacent parcels are designated primarily for commercial purposes. The request meets the requirements of the Baldwin County zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. Here is your site map of the subject property, your locator map. Staff analysis and findings is that Milton Jones Road is a local road which provides service for trips of moderate length as well as offers connectivity to the higher arterial system. Staff believes that the continuation of the current use with the inclusion of additional storage buildings remains consistent with the community welfare and should not detract from public's convenience at this location. The request is in addition to the current existing flex space, that's a 50 by 200 building with 5 units. The 3 additional buildings are approximately 11,200 square feet, 12,000 square feet, a 20,000 square feet, and an 1,800 square feet office building. No variations from lot size, width, or building setbacks are proposed. However, the applicant has requested a variance from specific PUD requirements regarding the usable open space. Here is your site map of the proposed site plan, of the proposed project. Is your grading and drainage plan, your landscape plan. Here are your building plans for building A and B, building C and D being the office building. It has come to staff's attention and we received an anonymous complaint regarding an unpermitted illuminated sign that was built on the subject property without the proper approval. We've worked with our code enforcement team to reach out to the property owner. A notice of violation has been issued with the ramifications outlined in the violation. Staff is recommending approval with the following conditions. The approval of the variance is received. Second being applicant shall provide a traffic study to staff for review to determine the possibility of required turn lanes. The traffic study shall include consideration of nearby projects in the vicinity of the proposed development. The applicant shall coordinate with planning and zoning staff to resolve the active code case violation related to the unpermitted sign. And the applicant shall record the deeds associated with the exemption PF 25-143 for the relocation of the property lines on the southern parcels. The other conditions are general conditions, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff?
I have one. This is in addition to, this 9 acres that we're looking at is in addition to what's here. It's immediately on the corner.
The total area of the development is 9 acres. So right now, there is one existing warehouse where you see here in the B4 parcel, and they are combining these 2 parcels for the development, and they relocated the most southern lot line between the 2nd and 3rd parcel on the southern side.
So everything is being looked at together.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Okay. I don't know if I set up, open the public hearing. We have a few signed up for this. Let me start with, and they're not divided out, so let me go down through the list. Larry Smith, I know you represent, do you need to say anything? All right, Larry represents the applicant. Colton Chapman, do you need to say anything? All right, and then I had one signed up, I believe, in opposition, Ricardo Johnson. Okay, come on up.
Okay, to Mr. Chairman Humphreys and the rest of you distinguished people, I feel like I'm in front of something, but anyway,
Don't feel that way.
But anyway, yeah. She had the map up there. My name is Ricardo Johnson. I live at 9821 Milton Jones Road.
Right here.
So that area right there is where I live. So what's happened is a couple of things. I called about the sign. I'm the one to call about the sign, and you got the message about the sign. The sign is so bright, it shines in my front yard at night. And I don't know who approved that. I don't know, you guys back there, but this is a residential area. And how would you like to have a yard sign in front, by the street, shining in your front yard at nighttime, probably by your bedroom? And I just think that's ridiculous that they put that sign. I'm sorry I didn't come out before they built it, because I would have opposed it if I would have came out before they built it. But I'm thinking, since it's there, and I guess you're going to look into it more. You said something about that, correct?
It was unpermitted, so we have a violation on it.
It's a violation, because that's all the other buildings there, all the other businesses have a sign, but it's on the building. It's not out on the street. These guys back here are the only ones that put it out on the street. And I think that that's ridiculous. I have 9 children. And the other thing is, that street, when this thing gets built, is going to be more busy like crazy. There's going to be cars coming up and down there. They already speed up and down there. And I talked to Mr. Bobby, who's the head of, I guess that's Daphne Road. I talked to him, Bobby, and asked him, could he put speed bumps? And he said, well, in December, the street went up to a different level as far as, the traffic on it. And I was like, what? No, nobody told me that, and I live there. He said they got, and I guess it's because of money, obviously, because when it goes up to that level, they can get more money for it. But I wanted to see if there was some way they could, well, you guys wouldn't take care of that. I tried to see if there was some way he could put speed bumps. He said he couldn't. So I asked him, could they put signs up, and maybe he hasn't got back with me about that. But I don't want any more signs on that street lit up. I mean, come on, no more signs on that street lit up. And like I said, because it's ridiculous to have that. And if there's any more building on that street, I really oppose it, because it's going to make the street more busier than it already is. People speed up and down that street, like I said earlier. It is not good.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, Larry, you want to speak now?
On the sign, just want to let everyone know that once we were made aware by the county, I contacted the owner. He has started the process. He told the sign company they need to have it permitted. I just asked him just now, and he said he's willing to pull the power off of that sign immediately and make sure that he gets right on the sign. And I know there's a violation out there, and it's going to get taken care of. We're working with Daphne on the traffic. I think that's why there's a condition on there, to make sure that we get Daphne happy on everything. We thought we were there. We got an access permit, but they came back and said they wanted us to take a look at that. So we're going to work with Daphne on that. So,
Hang on, Larry, just make sure. Anybody have any questions for Larry while he's here?
I'll ask on that sign, just sometimes we have the ability to, face it down or, face it up or whatever's most appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, that's all we can do is ask that, just the most we can do to address that issue.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, sir.
thank you.
All right, that's all I had signed up to speak on this particular item. So I'm going to close the public hearing. All right, any questions for staff? Ms. Waters, or Diane?
Staff. Do the regulations allow for an illuminated sign there?
It does, but not in the configuration that it is. So we have illumination standards that don't allow the light to exceed 1 foot candle onto the adjacent public right-of-way or any adjacent public property. And it also the light should be directed, up or down. Down is preferable. But so the point is, this is like a backlit sign, and it's really bright. And so we have some pretty good illumination standards that, like I said, had this gone through a permitting process, it wouldn't have been allowed to be installed the way it was just installed without a permit. That's how it got there.
So my other question is, even though the owner has said that they will stop the illumination, once it's permitted, they'll still have that ability, but it will be different than what it is?
It will have to be illuminated differently, and it would have to meet our illumination standards, which would eliminate the issues that the neighbor's having. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
I have a question. What is our speed limit along this stretch where these warehouses are?
This is the city of Daphne Road. It's not our road, so I don't know what it is.
Okay. Ms. Waters, do you have anything else to add?
I do not.
All right, so we have 3 items on this. So we could actually go ahead and take the PUD, I guess, first. We can, since I see you put a condition that the variance has to be approved, so we can do the variance last, I guess, since it's. All right, so let's, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the CSP, the PUD, and we're including the variance. Is that correct?
It'd have to be 3 separate motions.
You have to do them
Okay,
separately.
I'm sorry. I'll
Let's
make a motion.
start with the PUD.
I'll make a motion, we approve the PUD with the conditions set forth by staff.
All right, Mr. Davis made a motion that we approve PUD 25-03. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Mr. Seibert seconded the motion. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And chairman votes aye. All right, then let's have a motion on this, on the site plan.
I'll make a motion, we approve the site plan with the conditions set forth by staff.
Okay? So Mr. Davis made a motion on CSP 25-13 for approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Mullick seconded the motion. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Chairman votes aye also. And then lastly, the variance.
I'll make a motion, we approve the variance.
All right, Mr. Davis made a motion, we approve SD 25-17, the variance request. Do I have a second?
Second.
I think I heard Jamie on that one first. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And chairman votes aye. All right, we'll open the public hearing now for case number SC 25-30. This is the BFLC Cowpen Creek Phase 4. Does anybody need to declare prior communication on this item? Ms. Booth?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this is a preliminary final plat approval for a 5-lot subdivision for SC 25-30. It is located in Planning District 13. It is unzoned. They have come before you for a prior Planning Commission approval for a preliminary plat, and they are now coming back with the final plat. There were common drives that were required to be installed, and those were installed. And staff recommends approval for SC 25-30, and I'll welcome any questions you may have.
Okay. Any questions for staff? All right. I have no one signed up to speak on this. Correct? All right. Unless somebody has a question, I guess we'll entertain a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion to approve case number SC 25-30.
Okay? Let me officially close the public hearing. So Mr. Mullick's made the motion to approve SC 25-30. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Stradiger, second to that motion. Anybody have any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chairman votes aye also. The motion carries. All right, we're going to open the public hearing now for case number SC 25-31. This is a replat of the Woodlands at Malvis, lots 24, 25, and 26. Does anybody need to declare prior communication on this item? Ms. Mosley?
Good afternoon. This is for a preliminary plat approval for the replat of the Woodlands at Malvis subdivision. It's located in Planning District 7. It's a replat of the 3 lots. It's approximately 2.19 acres. Here's the location. Aerial. And the plat enlarged. The proposed replat will divide the undeveloped parcel among lots 24, 25, and 26, the Woodlands at Malvis subdivision. All 3 lots are accessed by Rosewood Lane, located west of State Highway. Sorry, I cannot see. 181. No new infrastructure is proposed. We're recommending approval with just general conditions.
Okay,
Have any questions?
any questions for staff?
I have a question. Where's the access to this new lot that we're proposing to create?
They're actually, if you see right here, the lot in question that's going to be split amongst the 26, 25, and 24, it is actually landlocked right now, but when they split them up, it's going to be a part of the subdivision, so it will be accessed actually through Rosewood Lane.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Aaron Collins, did you want to speak? Okay. Aaron represents the owners here, so if anybody has any questions for him, we'll bring him up. He's the only one I have, so with that, I'll close the public hearing. So any questions or comments before we have a motion? My mind is getting terrible. I don't know if I close the public hearing, so I'm going to do it now. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the replat.
Mr. Davis made a motion that we approve SC 25-31. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Key seconded the motion. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chairman votes aye also. Motion carries. Okay, well, this time we'll open the public hearing for SC 25-32, Palms Veterinary Subdivision. Does anybody need to declare prior communication on this item? Okay. Ms. Mosley, you got this one too?
Yes, sir. This request is for the preliminary plat approval for Yoda Palms Veterinary Subdivision, located in Planning District 15. The zoning is B3. The proposal is 3 lots. Total acreage is 4.04 acres. We got public utilities, Bell Forest Water, sewer, Baldwin County Sewer Systems, and electricity is Riviera Utilities. There's our locator map. This is our subject property. Our plat enlarged. Lot 2 and Lot 1 will share this ingress-egress. And Lot 3 is not developed at this time. The request is a 3-lot commercial subdivision. Parcel 1 and 2 are developed and will show the existing common drive from State Highway 181 with recorded easements. Parcel 3 is undeveloped. However, all future development will require all applicable local, state, and federal permits. No new infrastructure is proposed. We are recommending approval with conditions. Specific conditions is any future development will require approval of applicable local, state, and federal permits, and that includes ALDOT.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Okay. Aaron, once again, you want to need to say anything on this one? Okay.
Hi, y'all. Aaron Collins, SE Civil. I know there's a question about the access for Lot 3, and if you look at the plat, there is actually, we dedicated an ingress egress easement that goes all the way to Lot 3. So, you know, whoever ends up developing that lot will be responsible for their own turnout permit, and, you know, if they don't allow it, they still have access through the 2 existing parcels.
Okay. Any questions for Aaron? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I had Mr. Cordy signed up. Do you want to speak?
I'm not against it by any means, but I happen to own the land to the north. And AlDOT has told us that we have to split our entrance with our neighbor that's to the north of us, and I just wanted to make sure if somebody has talked to AlDOT for this Lot 3, I'm not going to have to put in entrance with them down there, because they said there could only be 2 entrances along that area there. So I don't want, have to give up for them to have an entrance right there, give up some land.
As Mr. Collins described, that easement they're platting goes to Lot 1 and to Lot 3, so that's where they'll
But they,
have to
I said
connect.
they said there's going to be a turnout. They told us, AlDOT, you can't even.
The turnout they're accessing is already there. It exists.
Okay, well, what's that little driveway they got turned in up to the north of there? They got
It's an old existing drive, yeah. But so whenever they develop Lot 3, they'll have to go get their AlDOT permits and, they'll deal with AlDOT at that time. And they would decide that. I would assume that AlDOT's going to make them connect to this existing drive to
I
the
would
south.
think so
Yeah.
too. And I just wanted to make sure though that
Yeah.
was addressed.
Yeah, that's why we required the easement like we did. That way they have a way to get to that.
Okay, that's all I had.
Thank you, sir. All right, that's all I had signed up to speak on this one. I'll close the public hearing. No questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve subject to staff conditions.
All right, Mr. Moultz made a motion to approve SC 25-32. Have a second?
Second.
Ms. Burnett, second the motion. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Chairman votes aye. Motion carries. All right, this time we'll open the public hearing for case number SC 25-34. This is the TBG Old County Road 95 Plat 1 subdivision. Does anybody need to declare prior communication on this item? All right, Ms. Booth?
Good evening again. Okay, this is for a 2-lot subdivision, SC 25-34, called TBG-Old County Road 95, Plat 1. It is zoned M1 for light industrial. Public utilities will be Perdita Bay Water and Sewer for water, Baldwin County Sewer Service for sewer, and Baldwin EMC for electrical. And I apologize, I did not put the location for Baldwin County Sewer, but I believe it is the Summerdale Treatment Plant, but I can verify that if we need to. And staff does recommend approval, and I'll answer any other questions you may have.
Okay, any questions for staff?
So it's already zoned M1?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, so for our staff, you know how technology is for me, so I messed it up somehow. So did anybody sign up for this item? If you did, come on up.
Just the authorized agent.
Okay. All right. Does anybody need to ask a question? Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? All right, if not, I'm going to close the public hearing on this one. I'll entertain a motion. I guess I closed the public hearing. Public hearing's closed. A motion?
I'll make a motion to approve SC 25-34.
All right, Mr. Mullis made a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that Mr. Davis? Mr. Davis seconded the motion. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Chairman votes aye. Motion carries. All right, we're going to open public hearing now for case number SC 25-35, W.A. Keller subdivision. Anybody need to declare prior communication on this item?
Mr. Chairman, a few moments before the meeting began, the applicant approached us, and he is asking for this to be tabled until next month. I can either present the case, or we can open up to public hearing.
Let me have a show of hands. Is anybody here on this case tonight? And you're representing it? Yeah. Anybody here in opposition to it? All right, then what do you suggest?
I would just hold it off until next time.
That's what I was thinking. All right, so we'll hold off. All right, so we need to make a motion then to table it to next month's meeting. Is that what they asked for?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we table case number SC 25-35 until our September Planning Commission meeting.
All right, motion to table by Mr. Cybers. I have a second.
I'll second it.
Mr. Mullet, second the motion. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Chairman votes aye, the motion carries. All right, now we're going to open a public hearing for case number SPP 24-23, the BFLC Estates at Elam Creek subdivision. Does anybody need to declare prior communication on this item? Ms. Waters?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, this is SPP 2423 BFLC at Elam Creek subdivision. This property is located on Planning District 13. It is unzoned. The request is for 15 lots of a large acre subdivision, which means all lots within the subdivision are a minimum of 20 acre or greater. The total acreage of the subject property is approximately 316 acres. Staff is recommending approval with the conditions that the applicant will coordinate with the Baldwin County Planning and Zoning Permit Division to obtain and install major residential driveways along Lindholm Road, and that the applicant will submit a final plat application after the major residential driveways have been installed and approved. Here's your vicinity map and your plat, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff?
I have one of these question on these major residential drives. Are these adopted by county, or will these remain private?
Yeah, so
the drives that they're going to install?
So they're private drives, but our requirements now are when you're accessing more than 2 lots, you have to install a major residential drive, which is part of our access management plan. So the owner has to install them, and they're in the county right of way, but they're private drives.
They're private maintained.
Yes.
Yes.
I guess just a generic question, does I guess your mail carrier will go down this residential drive to deliver mail to these lots?
Yeah, and because of the number of lots, they will actually get private street names.
It's dedicated to county, it's installed, but it's private maintained.
Right.
Okay, any other questions for staff? I had no one signed up on this item, so I'll close the public hearing. Unless somebody has a question, we'll entertain a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion to approve SPP 24-23.
All right, Mr. Mullet's made a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
A second.
Mr. Key, second the motion. Any questions on the motion? A lot of hesitation here, so I want to make sure on this one. All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Chairman votes aye. Motion carries. All right. I'm going to open public hearing now for case number SPP 25-20, Long Bayou Preserve subdivision. Does anybody need to declare prior communication on this item? Ms. Waters?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This subject property is located on Planning District 30. The zoning is RSF2 with a PRD. The property is located east of Baldwin County Beach Express and directly north of City of Orange Beach. The engineer is Mr. Thomas Granger. The preliminary plat request is for a 48-lot residential subdivision. Within the PRD site plan approval, there were reductions of setbacks. So the front is 20 feet, the sides are 10, and the rear also 10 feet, with the smallest lot size being 4,500 square feet. The public utilities are for water, Orange Beach Water Authority, Baldwin EMC, City of Orange Beach Sewer Department for sewer, and then for broadband, the applicant's requesting a waiver from this section. The PRD site plan for Long Bayou Preserve with the master list of deviations from the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations was approved by the County Commission at the June 24, 2025 regular meeting. This project will encompass 48 lots, 36 will be waterfront, and the remaining 12 will be interior cottage lots, 11 90-foot lots, 13 80-foot wide lots, and 12 60-foot wide lots, and 12 50-foot interior cottages are planned to be developed within a single phase. The total acreage is approximately 28 acres of open space will be preserved, with 3.6 acres of this space usable for amenities, including a sporting club, boat lift, marina, and piers. In total, approximately 3.5 acres of delineated wetlands will be impacted for this development. The planned single residential homes located within the wetlands designated areas will be pile supported, and wetland fill is proposed for parking and road access. Baldwin County will not take the roads for maintenance within this development. Here are your locator maps and your zoning map. Here is your plat. Enlarged area of your plat. Here I just enlarged your site data table with information highlighting the wetland fill areas. Here's your wetland delineation from Biome Consulting and the master list of deviations that were approved by the County Commission in your proposed amenities. As I mentioned earlier, the developer has requested a waiver from the broadband due to the so far inability to the proposed broadband utilities not being able to provide service. Staff is recommending approval with the following recommendations. Condition number 1 being prior to issuance of a subdivision permit and notice to proceed with construction, the applicant shall provide staff with a copy of the purchased mitigation credits for the proposed wetland impacts as approved by the U.S. Corps of Engineers. Condition number 2 being prior to the issuance of a subdivision permit and notice to proceed with construction, the applicant shall record new deeds along with the exemption PF 2574 for the public acquisition required to divide the parent parcels of the proposed subdivision. The applicant also shall provide staff with a will serve letter from the proposed utility company for the waste collection. And following subdivision permit approval by the permit engineer, the applicant shall submit a private road request to the County Commission, as the proposed roads will not be accepted by Baldwin County and are to be developed as privately maintained roads. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions for staff?
Yes, so does the Corps of Engineers, do they typically approve a small fill of the wetlands?
They've already approved it, they are just to a point now where all the credits have to be paid and purchased, but they've already issued their preliminary approval.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right. I messed it up again, so I'm good at that, by the way. But Tom, I know you're one, and Hunter, and then Goodwin, I don't forget your last name. So they were on there, but I forgot. So you guys, either one of you three need to speak, you're welcome to come on up. You're all representing the project anyway, right? All right, anybody have any questions for the applicants?
I do.
All right, so Tom, you may want to come up, or one of you.
Hey,
Afternoon.
I have a question about broadband.
Yes, and same with the garbage. We had difficulty, Point Broadband is a service in Orange Beach. We assume that somebody's going to serve the Margaritaville. We're right next to we're just east of Margaritaville. So both garbage and broadband will be there. They're just not there right now.
So you don't actually need a waiver?
Well, as part of the preliminary plat approval, if they don't have a will serve letter confirming that service is available, then they can request a waiver in lieu of it. By the time they submit final plat, they might very well have that letter stating that service is now available. It's just as part of the preliminary plat, the waiver would be the alternative.
The intent is to provide it.
I have a hard time with a waiver for broadband because old school, it's actually telephone, public safety. So if you don't have broadband, how will people call for public service, ambulances, fire department?
Well, they'll have cell service there.
But that's what broadband is.
Well, I think broadband is more for the internet.
Well, that's what that is.
Well, our intent is to provide it, and we're pretty confident that the Margaritaville development will be getting those, they're having to get the same utilities we are. So it's going to, Point Broadband's in the area, they're just not right there right now. But the intent, obviously.
Again, I have a problem with a waiver.
So let me clarify that. So and we talked about this in the work session, but this is what the regulations require. It doesn't necessarily say fiber, it says broadband. It says the applicant shall ensure reliable, high-speed broadband connectivity, minimum 25 megabytes per second download speed and 25 megabytes per second upload speed is made available to each lot in development. And then to accomplish that, what Mr. Granger is saying is there's two options. You can accomplish that at preliminary plat, like if it's there, you can provide the letter and then you never have to deal with it again. If it's not there, it says this requirement of the section can be accomplished during final plat approval by the provision of the letter from a broadband certifying that market. So basically, if it's not available now, we have to do the waiver as part of the preliminary plat, but we will look at it again when they submit their final plat and say, if it is available at Margaritaville, then we would say, okay, we're going to accept that you're dealing with it then. But if they provide documentation from any provider, whether it's cellular, satellite, whatever, that they can achieve the 25 megabytes per second upload download speed, they have met our broadband connectivity requirement. So that's what we're looking at. And yeah.
I have a problem with a waiver, whether it happens now or at final plat. I don't like a waiver. That's me. So that's just, because if we grant a waiver, then they're not required to provide anything to you at final plat because they have a waiver.
Well, again, it's a service that obviously these residents are going to want, and the developers are definitely want to provide.
Right.
And so I think by final plat, we will have service.
So why do we grant a waiver now?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, the process would be, because it's not available to ask for waiver. If we don't want to tackle that right now, it can just be deferred to final plat. We don't have to do anything with it, but we would just ask for at final plat stage, yeah.
I prefer
and
that.
And if it's not available through Margaritaville or whatever, then we can address that. But we try to address it on the preliminary plat because, final plats don't come back to planning commission. So if there's a possibility of it, we always just try to cover it at the preliminary plat, just so we don't have to bring something else on the agenda for just that. But that's what we want to do. It's totally allowable in our regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Granger? Thanks, sir.
One more question, I'm sorry. How narrow are you planning on making the streets if you're deviating from the 28-foot? What is the width of
Pavement
this?
width will be 20 feet.
20 foot, okay.
And that happens to match what, like, County Road, Roscoe Road is, so,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Do either of you other gentlemen want to speak? Mr. Tyler or Mr. Smith?
Mr. Chairman, I'll waive my right to speak. I'm happy to answer your question.
Okay. Thanks, sir. All right, that's all I had signed up to speak. I'm going to close the public hearing.
I do have one question. You know, they can come up with a better, I guess with our public service providers, we'll be coming in and out of there, you know, with their trash trucks. I guess, you know, see in the middle, we have a good cul-de-sac to turn around. You know, when we get down here to these farther end lots, I mean, you know, our trash trucks got to turn around. I mean, mail carriers, you know, do their things, but I mean, help walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, I think the plan is to have a turnaround in the green that you see up there at that north end is uplands, and we'll have a turnaround there.
I mean, I see it down here at the bottom. You can use this lower area is more for that's your boat launch on the lower right of what I'm looking at.
Well, there's a lodge in the lower right-hand corner.
Okay, that's a lodge.
Yes, yes, sir. And
Okay,
so there's a
and
big,
this parking area, I guess, would
that's
be where one could turn around there. But that north end is the
that's-
one that I don't see it at.
yes.
Okay, I see
Yes,
the
right
larger
here.
green area off to the left.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing. If I haven't already, I'm entertaining, I think I did do it. Anything else, Ms. Waters?
No, sir.
We need to vote on the waiver separately?
You can, I'd vote on a waiver first and then your preliminary, you know, like state whether you are going to vote to approve it or not within your motion.
Okay?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm not clear
The
on that.
waiver-
Is the waiver separate from this, or is it just part of it?
It is not a separate motion, it's just part of it, what decision you'd like to make.
I'll make a motion, we approve case number SPP 25-20 to not include the waiver request.
Second.
All right, so Mr. Davis you made the motion to approve,
But exclude the waiver, or not to include the waiver request, so I don't want to approve the waiver. I prefer we wait till final plat.
So, let me clarify. It sounds like the motion is to approve with staff conditions, except for the waiver request. Like, yeah. Okay.
so you're wanting to vote on the waiver separately? Okay, well, but that's the waiver, is it not, to push it to final?
No, so this is not like a variance. It's
I
not a
get that.
separate action.
Yes.
So the waiver, if it's the will of the commission, it can just be removed from the staff recommendation of approval. So our recommendation is to approve it, including the waiver request. If you want to just approve it with staff conditions minus the waiver request, just say we want to remove the waiver from the staff conditions.
That was the intention of the motion. Now, if we need to treat it separate to be clear, then I guess we could, couldn't we?
All right. Y'all fine with it? Because I'm totally confused at this
Okay,
point. He made a request
Yeah.
as a waiver not to have it at this point.
Yeah, so let me maybe recommend possibility of a reword of that. You could say to defer the waiver request to final plat. You could say that. that would be in alignment with our regulations.
All right, rephrase it. Make a motion to approve to defer the waiver request to final plat approval.
And I'll second.
All right, so Mr. Davis made the motion, seconded by Mr. Fletcher. All right, so I'll ask it this way of the Planning Commission. Anybody have any questions on that motion? Everybody understands? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Chairman votes aye. Motion carries. All right, we'll open the public hearing now for case number SPP 25-22, the Estates on 31 subdivision. Does anybody need to declare prior communication on this item? Ms. Waters?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, this is Estates on 31, a preliminary plat approval for a 5-lot residential subdivision. The subject property is located on Planning District 7. It is unzoned. The utility providers are North Baldwin Utilities for water, Baldwin EMC for power, Baldwin County Sewer Service with the Malbus Treatment Plant. Drainage improvements were not warranted for this subdivision. Staff is recommending approval with the specific conditions that the applicant will coordinate with ALDOT to obtain approval of the installation for the proposed common driveways to be installed off State Highway 31. And that the applicant will submit a final plat application that will be reviewed administratively by staff after the common driveways have been installed and inspected by ALDOT. Here is your vicinity map and your plat. And an email here from the staff from ALDOT requiring the common driveways. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay, Ms. Barnett, do you have anything you want to say?
I'm just going to answer any questions if the commission has them or the public.
Okay, Ms. Barnett represents the applicant. Anybody have any questions? Okay, that's all I have signed up to speak, so I'll close the public hearing. If there are no questions or additional comments, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve case SPP 25-22.
All right, Mr. Molix made the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
A second.
Mr. Key seconded the motion. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chairman votes aye. Motion carries. All right, our last public hearing item is SPP 25-24, Serenity Acres subdivision. We'll open the public hearing. Does anybody need to declare prior communication on this item?
This request is for preliminary plat approval for a residential 4-lot subdivision, Serenity Acres subdivision. It is in Planning District 15 in Zone RA. It's going to be 4 lots, and the smallest being just a little bit over 20 acres, a total of 81.244 acres. The utilities will be water, well, electric will be Baldwin County EMC. The sewer will be septic, and they weren't required to do a broadband. Here's our locator map. Here's explanation of the split off of the northern lot, the 81 acres. Here's our locator map. There's a plat map enlarged to show detail. It also shows the delineated wetland and drainage ditch, the 30-foot drainage easement, and 30-foot natural buffer. There will be a major residential shared drive that will come off of Gabrielle. SPP 2524, Serenity Acres, is a large residential 4-lot subdivision located in Planning District 15, and all 4 residential lots will be accessed through a private shared drive ingress-egress easement. Staff is recommending approval with conditions. Specific conditions are apply for the driveway permit major residential DPM and construct the drive to county specifications. The major residential drive must be installed and inspected prior to final plat approval for staff review. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay. Hunter, I know I guess you're representing, you want to come up and say anything now? All right, we have 3 in opposition, so you may need to come up afterwards. Let's start with those. Deidre Hart. And Mr. Ken Hart, if you want to speak, you might just want to come on up when she gets done if you want to speak. So.
My name is Deidre Hart. I live at 24610 Gabriella Lane. This morning I spent some time with Favia, who explained the certified letter I received on Monday concerning this subdivision. I have absolutely no problem with the subdivision. What I have a problem with is the county did not mark this with a sign for this meeting on Gabriella Lane at all. It's about a mile away on the corner of, I'm directionally challenged here, where 49 goes north and then it curves to the east. They put it right there on that corner. So nobody that lives on Gabriella Lane saw it. Very few of us travel that way, we go towards. So I spent some time with Favia this morning. She explained some of this. The maps we were sent were really hard to read. Now, I'm old and I have old eyes, but I couldn't blow them up to even see them. So she gave me some maps, and my biggest complaint, first of all, is that this was not posted correctly. Secondly, if we go ahead and have these 4 houses or possibly 8 houses added, is the county going to give us fire hydrants to protect? When I moved there 10 years ago, it was a pig road, literally dirt road. They've paved the street and everything, and now there are 16 houses, I went and counted them today, on the road. We have no fire protection. We get struck by lightning somewhere in that area every time it rains. One of these days, there's going to be a house burned down, and we don't have a fire hydrant. I don't even know where the closest fire hydrant is. And then my second concern is if we're going to add more houses that are going to come onto Gabriella Lane, and the only egress out of Gabriella Lane is to Barlow Road and 49, can the county fix that intersection? Because right now, 49 curves, the street drops down, you can go this way to Gabriella or that way to Barlow Road. There's no yield signs. We have a stop sign on Gabriella and Barlow does, but when they come on 49, I have had people going 60 and 70 miles an hour come around that curve and then whip themselves down Barlow Road. We need to address that before we go further with this approval. And I would also request that if the private driveways come off of this proposed subdivision, which everybody is entitled to do with what they want with their property, could we put a stop sign there? There's little kids down that street. I just, you just don't know. People are not very careful drivers. And with that, I request that the board table this until you have a chance to look at fire hydrant situation and the corner.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
And I also invite all of you to come out and see what a beautiful piece of property this is and how devastating it would be if lightning strikes and burns one of these houses down.
I'm Ken Hart, and I live on Gabriella Drive, Gabriella Lane. And Gabriella Lane is a very unique road. It's a dead-end street. There's 16 families that live on it. There's lots of grandkids and children, okay? They use the street there as their runway for their bicycles and scooters and all that. So my concern is the egress and ingress off of Gabriella. Is there any reason why they could not do that egress and ingress off of 49? It would not affect our neighborhood one bit. I just hate to lose our neighborhood. It's such a great place. That's about it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Terry Wilhite?
I appreciate this opportunity to be in your position in the fastest growing county in Alabama, one of the fastest growing in America, and to sit where you sit for your public service. It's absolutely amazing and greatly appreciated. I am confident that there'll be some extra crown jewels in our crown for public service, and so you certainly are deserving of that. I too live at 24610 Gabriella. You would think we live in one huge house, but there's actually 610 Gabriellas. I'm the original. There's an A, B, and a C. I live just down the driveway from the Harts. I did not get a certified letter. My mailbox is right beside the Harts. Nobody that I have spoken with to the north got a certified letter. And Ms. Hart is gracious with her estimation of a mile of where the sign was planted. Perhaps if it's as the crow flies, it's a mile, but it's more like 4 miles and nowhere near where this land that's under consideration is, nowhere near. So I'm not sure if the lack of attendance here is apathetic or if it's just they didn't know. I know I represent a handful of folks. One got COVID this morning. Another one is on a business trip to California. This, to me, is Exhibit A of Baldwin County, where if I was the seller, I'd want to sell. If I was the buyer, I'd want to buy. But if I was a member of the Baldwin County Planning and Zoning Commission, I would want to keep kids safe. I would want to keep adults safe. And right now, it's not safe as it is, as Mr. Hart explained. The intersection, the 49 Gabriella intersection, is just one big Charlotte Motor Speedway curve, seriously. And you jump that onto Gabriella. It is certainly, as I say, Exhibit A of why that you're where you are to make these hard decisions, that this is just not suitable at this point in the mere essence of safety for these kids and for these adults who walk Gabriella every single day. And that's my standpoint, and I appreciate your ears.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I had signed up to speak. Does anybody have any questions for staff? Ms. Mosley, do you need to say anything in addition to what you've heard?
I have a question about the location of the sign. Has anybody addressed that?
So this parcel right now is 230-something acres. It actually wraps all the way around to the north and to the west to County Road 49. What we do is we place the sign at the busiest street so that most people will see it. So that big kind of L shape where you go to the north, and it goes out to the west, that's all right now one parcel. So the northern piece of this, north of the 4 20-acre lots that they're talking about, is part of the same property. So we put signs on the on the property that's being subdivided, which that northern part is part of it, at the busiest location. And our certified letters go out to adjoining property owners. So, and just to be clear, we're not even, there's no requirement to put a sign out at all. We do that, and we always make sure we put it at the busiest intersection of the busiest streets to make sure the most visibility to the most people are seeing. Then beyond that, what we're actually required to do is send out certified letters to adjoining property owners. That's why the one adjoining property got it, and the one just north of them didn't. Well, they don't abut the property. They have someone in between them. So that's why that happens. And that's not uncommon, whether you're adjoining or whether you have to be within a certain, like in zoning cases, be within a certain distance. There's always going to be a cutoff where your neighbors may get a notice, but you don't because you don't fit that criteria. So that's why the signs in the location, we completely followed all advertising requirements and public notification requirements to meet the state law and our regulations.
How many lots could Grants Mill LLC get out of this? They're asking for 5.
I mean, it's zone RA. It could go down to 3-acre lots, but it would require improvements and all. So, I mean, it's a hypothetical question. I don't know. Technically, by zoning, it could allow 3-acre minimum lots. These are 20-acre minimum lots.
I have a question about fire protection. This is individual wells on this particular parcel or parcels. Is there public water anywhere around?
I'm not sure. Our requirements are if it's larger than 40,000 square feet, public water is not required. And when it comes to fire protection, obviously on 20-acre parcels, you've got plenty of room to not be cramped up with your neighbor.
Sure.
But when there's not adequate fire protection in any development, that is reviewed when it comes to building separation. So
Right.
in this case, it's really irrelevant whether there's water there or not because of the size of the parcels don't require public water or fire protection because they have enough room to separate the homes to not create a safety issue.
Do you know what fire department covers this area? I can't
Not off the
remember.
top of my head, no.
Okay. Thank you.
It's Loxley.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna
It's
say, Scott.
Loxley.
Yeah, and there's water at Magnolia and Barlow.
Okay.
On the curve, about a mile away.
Right, because of the size of these, I mean, these are 20-acre lots, call them
Yeah.
lots or parcels. So where the water is not really a factor in this.
I know. I know. I was just trying to determine where a fire hydrant might be,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter, and it's okay. Thank you.
I have a question. Have we looked at that intersection of 49 and Gabriella Lane? I mean, they're in that curve, and, we are talking about adding to that, and that there in itself is a safety concern, and, Mark
I'm currently not aware of any safety issues at that. However, through the course of the discussions with the residents that came out, I've already sent it to my team to have it evaluated. But 4 lots at 20 acres apiece, I'm not concerned about traffic volume being an issue. But if there is an existing problem we need to check on out there, I've already sent the request to have my team look at it.
Thank you, Mark. All right, any other questions for staff? Mr. Smith, you came up. Did you want to speak, or were you just getting? All right. Okay. I will close the public hearing. If nobody has any questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve case number SPP 25-24, subject to staff conditions.
Okay. Mr. Seibert's made a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Key seconded the motion. Any questions on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chairman votes aye, motion carries. All right, that's the last of our public hearings. We have no one signed up for public comments, I believe. I'm right. All right. Jay, your final reports?
Yeah, was there any commissioner comments other than what we've already talked about?
I have two. One, on the agendas that we're getting, I know there's no links anymore to the public comments, but it's being shown on certain ones, the link, but once you get to there, it's still just the staff report. The public comments are not available anymore.
What do you mean, like any kind of written public comments? Right. I mean, we normally don't get a lot, but.
Right.
So.
We used to get a lot, and that would kind of prepare me what I'm walking into, so.
I mean, we could include whatever in the staff report, whatever we've received at the time the staff report's issued, but anything that comes in after that, we would just have to address during the meeting. But we could certainly, any kind of written comment that has come in prior to the staff reports being finalized and sent out to you guys, we could include them in there.
Thanks, because it's just like a loop. There's nothing you can go to, really. Okay. Earlier in the work session, we were talking about the future land use map and the process for that. When we were talking about the nodes and the mapping that we're going to try and overlap for, can we also include the volunteer fire departments and their areas with that as well?
We can. That's I think it's good information to have. Like, I'm not sure how much we can really determine because they're volunteer based, and it's not something that we could kind of use to guide the growth, I would say, but I think it would be good information to have to understand where those coverages are, because those kind of services, typically what they do, they adapt as growth occurs. So where they are today may not be relevant to where as things happen where they become. But it is good information to have just to understand where they're all at.
And the other one, I think Mike was bringing it up, that driveway that was like a quarter of a mile long. We talked.
On these driveways, I understand that they put them in, but it is our mail carriers and trash trucks and whatever that goes, the maintenance will be their responsibility to do over time. My question is, I know that we end up with a bunch of these driveways, and, how do we police this maintenance, or, say we need repairs for it? On this one, she points out, how do we turn this trash truck around at the end of this? It's a dead end, or it's not shown there. I did see it on one of the plats on the 48 lot one where the truck could go up. They had a little T and it could turn around. It's just something to make sure we, one, show these circulations, and two, I would say, continue to keep policed as to, is it appropriate for our,
Yeah, so when they're private, and that's why to be a private road, the county commission has to approve it. So it gets very well documented that homeowners, POA, whoever you are responsible for this maintenance. Like, we're not going to maintain this. And as far as how the service circulation happens, like with garbage, we do obviously review that with our construction plans, with all different things, but how that's carried out long-term is really no different than any commercial business. It's like, once they get their agreements in place, the owners have to work with their service provider to make sure those things are maintained. And that,
we just want to make sure they're maintained to our standards, not just, the satisfaction of our drivers. So, hey, that's, y'all got that covered.
Yep.
All right, any other commission comments?
Yeah, I got one. Is it too far-fetched, so with the new master plan, I don't know how interactive it is, but would there ever be a way to see the evolution of any particular parcel? I mean, so, you know, say you could click on it and see how what it was owned, what changes have happened. For me, because I mean, I don't have much of a history here, so I don't know like what the particular evolution is of any piece of property, but sometimes it'd be interesting, I think, to, you know, it would give us some insight into where things are going. If I could click and be like, oh, 6 years ago this happened, and now they're asking for this, and okay, I kind of see where this is going, you know, but
So
it's not, there's no continuity, you know?
Right, and our Citizen Serve portal that all of our applications are processed through now, you know, it collects, everything is basically documented and tied to each parcel, right? So we can see that in our system, but it's a good question about how could we maybe integrate that into GIS. I mean, that's something to look at, but the short answer is, yes, that information is already in our system. Like, we can see the progression, like, for each parcel, like any permit that's ever been applied for or issued or what all is going on, and we have a full history of everything that's going on. But how we make that like more interactive or whatever, I'm not sure about that. We can look at
that kind of way to populate it
yeah.
in a more interactive way. You know?
Because I mean, a lot of the information on Citizen Serve is available to the public. Like they can log in and see it and whatever. But I don't know. I mean, that's something to look at. But the basis of it is there, I guess, is a good answer. Yeah. Yeah, we can look into that. I'm not really sure. We'll check on that, yeah. But good comment, yeah. Okay, anything else?
One point on, as we're looking at some of this stuff, and I know some of this exists, we're just not communicated or maybe don't have it to our discretion. In regards to schools and, you know, I don't want to say boundaries. You know, I know they work with, you know, the municipalities have theirs and then they branch out, but they're going to, you know, we're going to intersect Loxley with Robertsdale at a point, you know, how, you know, some outlay.
You mean school districts? Like
almost, yes. Yeah. You know, and in others, we're, you know, saving with some, you know, our I mean, I think our waste collection, and I mean, you know, I know we're moving forward with some of it, but, you know, that is a significant part of what we're, you know, working with here, and you know, and our expectations are gonna, our needs are on the increase.
Yeah.
It is a, you know,
it is a utility.
It is a utility.
Right, yeah.
This one is a county utility.
Right.
Hey, they're very, very good, you know, but, you know, I ask about these roads and, you know, possible maintenance or degradation that, you know, hey, you know, our trash can get missed, you know, regularly now, so.
Yep. Okay. Anything else before we get into the director's report? All right, so I've got just a very short one for y'all today, but it's got some interesting little metrics in here. If y'all remember, what we talk about with this is our ongoing projects and the summary of the rezonings that the county commission has taken, our permits issued to date, and then some of our interagency coordination. So on the project update, this is more of kind of an administrative update of some things that the P&Z department is working on. Last 2 months, we've talked about, Mark gave a presentation about transportation improvements and where we're going with that. And then we'd had our natural resources presentation last month. So this time is just a follow-up on a couple of things y'all probably already heard about, but just kind of give you a little update of where we're at. So if you remember, in our subdivision regulations, we added into our stormwater requirements about low-impact development, stormwater management, and some different things about requirements when it's more dense developments. So we've been working on that. We've got a grant agreement with Mobile Bay NEP that's been executed now and approved. And so we've got to go through the RFQ process, but we're going to be hiring a consultant in the next 30 or 45 days to develop this LID site review tool, which what that does is it gives a good standard for us to review by, for the engineers to design by, and say, this is, when we say you're meeting LID standards, this is how we're going to grade you. And it gives a good, consistent, and thorough evaluation, making sure that we're meeting these stormwater standards, and makes it very clear on what's expected and how you do or do not meet it. It's going to take, probably about 12 months to adopt, but part of that process is, the consultant will develop it, they'll train the staff, and we're also going to have like a workshop with the public, municipalities, the development community, whoever wants to come in and learn how to use this tool. And we want it to be kind of a good standard that's used across the county, because we're really excited about what it can do, how we manage stormwater on a basin level. And part of that was the hydraulic modeling. We have the system, we already actually have it in place. It's called AGUA. It stands for something. I'm not going to try to get into that. It's an acronym for something. But it's hydraulic gauges on multiple of our watersheds and rivers that shows what's going on during storm events, how flows are happening. And it lets us adapt in real time about when there's flooding issues occurring and how to address them. But for our purposes, it really helps us, for P&Z's purposes, it really helps us when we're going through the development review process, that we can look at projects, how they're impacting stormwater on a basin level. So we're not narrowing our focus of what's happening with stormwater right there at the site. We can plug that into this bigger model and understand, like, hey, once this goes in, these are the more regional effects of what's happening, and that's going to give us a better long-range tool to make sure we're managing stormwater the right way. So those things are both good. There's two different projects associated with that, and so two different consultants will be hired. One for the AGUA, installing some additional river gauges. I think there's going to be 3 in 6 River, and 1 in Magnolia River, an additional in Magnolia River, I think. So. Anyway, that's going to be some great tools just like we talked about in the work session. How are we evaluating things in the long term and making sure we're not too short-sighted about stuff. We're getting the tools in place to really have a good long-range plan and a good long-range way of managing what occurs in Baldwin County.
Are they going to be installed after improvements or before?
So the gauges are going to be installed now. Yeah, because there's a bunch of them already installed that are already in the system. We're adding 4 or 5 additional ones to the system. That's what we're doing. So what we're going to use is, now we have all that hydraulic data, we can use that as a baseline of when new developments come online, and we know in the planning stage, and we know what their discharges are going to be. We can understand what's happening with that at the basin level. So we're not, creating downstream problems with development. We can address it on the front end. Yeah. Over time, we hope to continue to add to this, but right now, this was the funding was available for these 5, and I would hope that over time, we get more and more of our rivers and watersheds modeled and used. But it is an expensive thing. It's not just a one-time thing. It's an annual cost. So we're kind of trying to be very strategic about where we're adding them, and where we have more of our more problematic watersheds from a flooding standpoint. We're trying to focus on those first.
Has this tool been implemented in other areas, other counties?
Not that I know of. I think we're pretty much
Yes, actually, Jay. The AGUA, that particular software is used in like Jefferson County and some other places.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah.
And we've got almost the entire Fish River basin modeled. So as Jay mentioned, this is growing basin, and taking that was our first major milestone, because that's the biggest watershed we have in Baldwin County. So starting there, and then Bon Secour, Magnolia have some representation now, but we're going to expand that. We're also working eastward to look at Styx River, Blackwater, even Wolf Creek and some other areas. We've also got, and this is a multi-departmental project. So this is the highway department, building department, planning and zoning, especially their environmental team.
And EMA.
Yeah, working together. And we've added in our budget that we propose, we're complementing this. And so everybody's taking a little piece of this project in their budgets. And we're also looking at some weather stations, including in this as well, so that we can have some real-time rainfall data to correlate to the actual elevations that we're seeing in the the rivers from the flood gauge meters.
So
it's-
you're including all the ditches and everything that feeds
Yeah.
into these,
Right.
all the tributaries and everything.
And we've engaged, Jay's team and our team have been working with a hydraulic consultant to date, and not necessarily going to be the same one going forward, but we've got a really good starting point and a good baseline data that we're working off of. So we're very excited about working together, our groups working together, as well as the building department on this
Right.
project.
But interesting, I think it's a good tool.
Yeah, and when you partner that with our regulations and our low-impact development site review tool, I mean, we're gonna have a much better picture and be able to really understand, on a wider basis, the stormwater impacts.
So once you get this data, are you going to be able to use that to apply for possibly federal grants and
Yeah.
things like that?
Mark said it perfectly. I mean, this is a multi-department kind of endeavor here, because we each have our own benefits from it. Highway, they can use it when they're looking at replacing bridges or box culverts and understand what the hydrology really is there. During a flooding event, they can understand where their problems are so they can deploy their people more efficiently. On the front end, we can look at it like as we're planning to, reviewing developments, that we're making sure that we're accommodating stormwater on a regional level the way we should. Building department looks at it from when they're looking at because they're the flood managers of the county, so they understand when it comes into the building construction, how that factors into that. So it's a great tool that goes across a lot of different departments.
Does the county get CRS credits for it?
We will, yeah. But we're already getting some, so the more we do, the more credits we'll get, yeah.
I've been here for 4 years, and I've seen the development happening, the improvements that the highway department's doing, and I think they're doing a good job, and it's a big task, but this tool's great.
Yeah, the goal is to use all these tools to kind of get ahead of the curve instead of constantly playing catch up, and we'll get there soon. All right, so moving on, another thing that's just, again, administrative stuff, we really worked through a lot of our permit workflows, and this will tie into something I'm going to show you in just a minute. But making sure that now that we have all our regulations in place, so make sure our processes and our workflows really marry up well with not only our permit workflows, but also highway department's workflows and building department's workflows. So basically, the goal is to make sure that we're operating efficiently, but also our quality of what we're doing is increasing. So our quality control is getting better, and our efficiency is also getting better, because we're not kind of spinning wheels on repetitive things. We can kind of streamline our processes so we can really put the technical expertise into each review that we should. So we've been able to align our new workflows with all that, and I'll show you in a second what that's resulting in. But another piece of the puzzle is that with our new regulations, we've been really working with several of the municipalities about our planning jurisdiction agreements, because they're not really aligning with our new regulations, and it's causing some headaches that we're working through. So we'll be working through that in the next little bit to get those updated. The zoning actions by county commission.
I have a question on, let's say working with these municipalities or recommendations. I don't say a complaint on, a development where they go cut big trees down, and this was in a municipality. I would call would they be heritage trees? I guess the location is north of Robertsdale Elementary School, and it's right there, whatever that is. Is that Wiltshire Street?
Yeah, Wiltshire's
from the four-way, and then they said, well, it's just, and all I can tell them is, this is not part of these trees can be in their way, or, it's whatever. But some of our districts did adopt new regulations on trees that they have to leave, or could it be a desire for some of our municipalities to adopt some of these things, or at least educate them on what this was an education process on what some of these planning districts did to become zoned. Could that be a tool that, it's a communication with our municipalities that, may help keep their residents as we're quote-unquote growing together?
And that's what we're trying to do across the board, is just make sure that everything we're doing is kind of aligning with one another, not having conflicts. And yeah, the tree ordinances, they get to be
I understand they're very special, and these municipalities may say, hey, that's a can of worms that we don't want,
Right.
but we can encourage our developers to go this way. So that was
Right.
it.
And we're certainly doing that. The tree ordinances are, of course, we don't, obviously outside the local provisions, we don't really have the ability to create a tree ordinance. But that's kind of a mixed reaction. Some cities really embrace it, some cities don't, and that's kind of up to them to decide what they want to do. But when it comes to regional impacts, that's where we're really looking at, specifically stormwater and traffic, because they don't stop at jurisdictional boundaries. Like, does it matter where the development's occurring? If that water's going to go where it goes, or the traffic's going to go where it goes, regardless if it's inside a municipality or if it's in the county. And that's where we're really focusing a lot of our efforts on making sure that those things are working like they should together. Yeah. Okay, so the rezoning actions by the county commission. The first one is, and if you all recall, this is in District 26, Point Clear area, where the local provision was modified with our last amendment to allow PRDs with some more strict criteria to be allowed in District 26. So this rezoning did go through. It was a rezoning and a PRD, but it's a very large development as far as acreage, but it's, a Class A golf course with a, kind of a higher end residential component. It has total of like 550 acres. 310 of it is actually in the zoned area west of County Road 3, which is the PRD. But the other side benefit or effect of this is that if you all recall, that property that's shown on the map to the southeast of this master plan was the old Saddlebrook subdivision that was approved a while back, that was a very dense development because it's unzoned right there. Well, these developers have actually purchased that property and incorporated in their master plan, and it's a much less intense development than what was previously approved, which is another thing. But anyway, this is a very high quality development. There was a lot of support. A lot of people came to county commission from the Point Clear area in support of it. So I think our amendments to the zoning ordinance allowing this type of development, this type of PRD in District 26 was successful. The next one was Wolf Creek Industries, which is out off of kind of northeast of the Beach Express, the Baldwin Beach Express. It was RA to RSF1. It was approved. It was, I think it's only for a couple of lots. It wasn't very big. The Davis property, which is down in the Bon Secour area off of County Road 16, even though it was a small lot, it was kind of one of those coin toss applications like we see a lot in the Stuckey Road area, where there's a lot of kind of conflicting of what the community is really going to be. But in this case, it was surrounded by RA. They were just trying to rezone from RA to RSF1, and it was a split vote, so there was no real action taken on this. It just kind of failed on the floor. We had a couple right in the edge of Fairhope and Daphne that are really surrounded by both cities. This one was the Woolley property, RSFE to B1. It's right on 181. As you can see, it's got business around it and then neighborhoods all around it, so it was approved. Makes a lot of sense. Completely surrounded by the city of Fairhope there. The Brantley property, RSF1 to B2 on Pollard Road, this outside of Daphne. This parcel was just, had split zoning on it, and so the northern piece was rezoned to B2 to match the southern piece of this property. So that was the only rezonings that the county commission heard last month. Permits issued. So like I said, we're tracking these metrics every month now. Like I told you before, it kind of runs a month behind. So our preliminary plats, we're holding pretty standard on the last 3-year trends. Same thing with final plats. The exemptions, we get a lot of those in. Subdivision exemptions and the PUDs are down a little bit. but how that relates to actual, lots or units being approved. The preliminary plat lots are, fairly consistent with last year. There was a big spike in 2023 for those, and you're kind of seeing that spike from 2023 showing up in the number of final plat lots. So, it always takes a couple years for developments to work through the construction process. So you're seeing in the final plat, the number of lots being recorded now, or you're seeing a lot of those from 2023 filtering into the system to final plat lots now. I always point out the number of lots that are, part of exemptions. There's quite a few of that. If you look at that, how that compares to final plat lots. And so that's something we always really try to watch and monitor to figure out if we need to try to do anything with the regulations when it comes to subdivision exemptions. And the number of PUD units are going down. Obviously, with the mini storage stuff going through, any kind of multi-tenant development going through PUDs now, that's probably going to start going up a little bit. But I believe the large spike in 2023 there was a lot of RV parks and stuff approved back then, and we're not seeing as many of those anymore. Rezonings, are still kind of trending a little higher. That's been kind of the trend all along. A lot of that, you can see where they're happening. They're happening in kind of some of the newer zone districts on the east side of the county, which is, pretty much expected. But, looking at the number of zoning variances, they're continuing to trend down, which means that, our regulation amendments were successful as far as making things clear and understood and not have all these gray areas that are requiring variances that really shouldn't have been done that way. So that's been a nice trend. But the one I was going to tell you, just kind of point out, this is a new one we're working on, how it relates to our workflows and our processes with our new regulations. So this is the average number of days to process or complete permits, from fiscal year 24 compared to fiscal year 25. In 24, it was an average of 140 days per permit. And that's, we just kind of averaged all preliminary plats, and got that number. We're down to 39 now. So same thing with final plats, 179 down to 54. Construction plan review, even though we're actually have a lot more construction plan permits now, their time of review is still going down. There's a lot. Josh's group is doing a great job with that. Zoning site plan, which is like your site plan approvals for residential construction, like homes and things like that, are going down, and rezonings are dramatically down too. So there's a couple of different factors in that. One is our regulations are clear, our processes are aligning with that, but so our staff knows how to, knows what they're looking for and looking at, and to be able to work through things accurately and efficiently, but also on the applicant side, it's very clear what they have to submit and what they have to do. So we're getting a better quality of applications now because it's more clear what they need. So it's a nice little metric to understand how effective we're being as a department and how, how our regulations are being used and implemented. And on that, like I mentioned the quality earlier, is that even though we're getting through things fast, more quickly, our quality, our amount of litigation, our amount of, appeals and different things that come out of, quality control issues are practically going away. Like, we're always going to have a little litigation for code cases and different things, but, we're doing things by the book, efficiently and effectively, and that's kind of where we want to be as a department. So.
I have a question
Yeah.
about the construction plan review. That is 4 months.
So let me tell you this, in all these reviews, in these timelines, this also accounts for the time it takes the applicant to respond to comments. So one thing, especially on the construction plan review, when we have our comments, it may take sometimes they're pretty minor, sometimes they're major. If they're more major comments, the engineer of record has more work to do to resubmit. So
So this timeline is after the preliminary plat is approved and they've submitted, the developer or the applicant has submitted their construction plans?
Right.
Or is it directly after preliminary plat and?
It's whenever, unlike the cities, how our process works, we don't require construction plans with the preliminary
Right.
plat. So once they get preliminary plat approval, then they engage their engineer to start going forward. So the amount of time in between preliminary plat approval and when they actually apply for that is completely dependent on the development.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's 124 days after they submit. That just seems like a lot.
On that a little bit.
Okay.
And it is. So some plans are, very extensive. I mean, there can be like 20 sheets or there could be 120 sheets. And a lot of times when they do submit plans, they're not fully designed yet. So we're going through, the whole process of reviewing the whole thing for our county standards and also for just regular quality control
Right.
standards. So honestly, most of it has to do with the quality of the plans that are submitted, how long it takes. And, but we check everything.
So it's not number of staff that you have.
I mean, if we had more staff, we could do it, but we got through a backlog since I've been here for about a year now. We've got through a backlog and we turn our plan reviews around in less than 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
That's what we try
So-
to get.
So now you're less than 30 days.
Right. So our new workflows that I mentioned earlier, for each permit route, for each permit type, we have very specific deadlines for each step of review. Like first review, you have X days to complete, and then you send it back to the applicant, and they have X days to respond. And so that process is very well detailed on how it works through. So all these numbers will continue to get better because we're getting, those very hard and fast deadlines in our review. So we're accountable for things, but also in the development world's review. So they know, hey, you have to have your comments back in X days or you're going to start back over at review one.
Right.
What takes the longest is the back and forth.
Right.
If they don't have everything fully designed, if they don't address all our comments, then it just takes a long time. That's really what kind of drags out the process.
Thank you.
And I just had a question. Is the drop in rezoning, the timeline on rezonings, is that mainly because they're going straight to the commission?
That's one of the factors, yeah. And just the other big factor is kind of what Josh just said. On all of our permits, the majority of the time it takes is kind of the back and forth with the applicant to try to get them in compliance with our regulations. Now that the zoning ordinance is really clear when it comes to rezonings, like, hey, you have to do X, Y, and Z, it's really clear, like, we're not having that amount of time of kind of debating back and forth about what's required or what should be done or what shouldn't be done is dwindling down because we're just very much more clear with our requirements now.
Like theoretically, a perfect world, if there was a way where rezoning was zero, it's probably safe to assume that would be the product of the perfect master plan. If you had the gold standard perfect master plan, so let's just say, the better our master plan, the more we'll get that. I mean, we'll see the product of a good master plan by seeing the rezoning numbers go down.
Right. So not necessarily the number of rezonings, but certainly the master plan it will definitely help the review process because it'll be very clear of understanding where we want to see growth and where we want to see conservation, because right now it's a little bit too much of a broad brush. And when we do that, and have all those guys, just like with our zoning ordinance and our subdivision regs that we've just done, the master plan will be another piece of that puzzle that makes it very clear where we're going with things. And we'll just, give everybody a very clear picture of what's needed, where we're going, what's reviewed, and how it goes there. Because all of these, outside of the zoning site plan review and the construction plan review, well, I guess the final plat too, part of this factor is public notification requirements. Like, so we have to advertise rezonings for a certain amount of time, to meet state law. We have to advertise preliminary plats. So those things factor into this timeline too. So there's some things that there's just really no adjustment on. But what we want to, what our goal is to be consistent, clear, and efficient on how our reviews are, because that's how you maintain, quality of what we're doing. So that's pretty much it. Just a couple of updates for interagency coordination. We've been working with Mobile Bay NEP on, I told you about the other two grant projects, but we do have a third one for the Magnolia River Constructed Wetland Project. They're going to have for construction funds on that. So that's ongoing, and, we'll progress into construction sometime in the near future, the next year or two. I know the Corps of Engineers did do an update with the EAC, or they were scheduled to, for the Fort Morgan Shoreline Stability Project, which is on the bay side. The Corps is doing a study about the shoreline erosion there. So that's, so we work closely with the Corps and ADEM on pretty much everything we do, but these are specific kind of public improvement projects that we're coordinating with them on. And like we've already talked about, we always work with all of our municipalities, making sure that we're doing things together. You saw one of them today with the Milton Jones Road thing. There's a lot of coordination, interaction with Daphne, and there's several things with them going on right now. But how we work, is making sure that we're all growing together the way we should. So, but that's all I have, unless there's any other questions.
Back to what he asked about the future land use map and having a master plan. I don't know what the county laws are. When in municipal law, when you create a new master plan, it can be a neighborhood plan or an overall, you can change the land use designation of property whenever you update a master plan. You can. Municipalities can.
The county.
But I don't know if the county can.
No, the master plan itself doesn't change the land use designation.
Okay.
It is, the way it's worded in county law is it's a guide to growth. And that's, actually, the local law that formed the Baldwin County Planning and Zoning Commission says you are to develop a master plan to guide the growth of unincorporated Baldwin County. That's what your purpose is, right?
That's why rezoning never goes away.
Right. Exactly. So you still have to, if you want to go through a rezoning process to change the zoning designation to match the master plan, the county can do that, but they have to go through an actual rezoning process and notify the public and say, hey, we're amending the zoning map and this is what we're doing, and so on and so forth. But it doesn't automatically happen with the master plan, no. Anything else?
I do. One, I'm not asking for it today. I'm going to ask for I want to say an update on our recycling efforts as a county. I know there's some things that are in process, and make that part of one of your future things as to where we are and what may be coming. And it's maybe some of what we have now and some of what we hope to have. I know that.
Well, and maybe we can get.
When I started recycling a third of that decreased my quantity of what was going to the landfill by a third. 2/3 still goes to the county. But, it just, and then, and others with our drainage infrastructure, the municipalities, and this water does not know boundaries. One of the things, and I've noticed within some of these municipalities is, I'm going to call it the lack of maintenance of the drainage infrastructures that are in our municipalities. And I guess I just look at some of them and they, this doesn't appear like it's going to function very well. And I'm sure that's part of what we're looking at. That's a.
Well, if it's inside the municipality, there's not much, we don't have any say. Now, if it's in a county road, Mark's group, they monitor, roadsides, ditches and drainage all the time and address it as needed. But if it's something inside the municipality, that's, we don't have any jurisdiction over that. But about the recycling, and I'm glad you brought that up, is that, I don't know if you all have seen, but, the Solid Waste Authority, they've got the MRF. It's a recycling facility, but it stands for something. And anyway, it's won national awards about how advanced it is and how well it operates. And so we're definitely going in the right direction with our recycling efforts. And we could ask someone from the solid waste to come talk a little bit about how
I
the
knew that
collections.
Facilities here is right there adjacent to the landfill. Jamie said they had a ribbon cutting today. You know, what's the plan? I mean, are we going to get some recycle bins that come next to the trash cans?
I don't know, yeah, that's.
Hey, Jay, I can give a little update, if you want me to. Well, the Environmental Advisory Committee did a tour of the new facility, and I was walking on water for days. That is one of the finest education facilities you'll see across the country. And I learned a lot when we were there. But what they have done is they have implemented curbside in Daphne. They have almost 1,000 residents that are agreeing to it. There is a fee associated with a roadside cart. They pick up on a different day from your recycle. They're moving to Spanish Fort. They have a plan to try to accomplish all the areas by the end of next year. But if y'all would like to do a tour, we could try to schedule one with the Planning Commission to go see it. It will knock your socks off. It is a fabulous facility. And we're learning a lot. Alabama has about a 16% recycle rate. America has, I think, in the 30s, and we want to achieve 50%. And I think this facility is going to bring Baldwin County up drastically in the next few years.
And the MRF stands for Material Recovery Facility, so it goes in single stream and it sorts itself. It's incredibly impressive. So I would definitely, if there's an opportunity for y'all to tour it, it is an amazing piece of technology.
I mean, I just want it, you know, we want it for our residents. I mean, we're bringing our recycles right here behind this building, you know, and from where we were, there's nothing, I mean, we have zero, we have no service.
Well, without the facility being open, it was impossible, but now that it is, they're starting to implement it.
Thank you.
Does Murph do bottles, or is it everything else but bottles?
Right, I don't know if glass is still something they're trying to tackle. That's probably the single hardest material to recycle, because there's just not a market for it in this area because sand is so readily available.
There's 3 things they aren't doing: glass, plastic bags, and styrofoam. So those are the things they do not want in the recycle carts. But they are opening up some hard-to-recycle facilities called Charms. First one opened in Fairhope, Mark. Didn't it open this week? I think it did.
Oh, that was the ribbon cutting today.
Was it today?
Yeah.
So you're able to take a household hazardous waste and drop it off with a minimal fee or no fee at all. So Fairhope opened today. Bamanette will be getting one, and there's 2 more. I can't remember the locations, but it's just exciting what's fixing to happen with Baldwin County and recycling.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? We're adjourned till September 4th.